Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. I just rushed up here because my flight got canceled and I had to find a new flight. So hopefully, good luck to everyone getting back to the Northeast. Yep. I'm Bryan Wolynski. I'm an optometrist by trade, and I've been consulting and worked with OrCam Technologies for the past 8 years. Let me take this thing off. And then I recently now joined them actually full-time recently. So it's a difference from switching from patient care to now industry. But I've always worked in industry part-time. So I first started actually with OrCam about, like I said, 8 years ago and saw the technology in 2013. And I don't know if anyone saw the original OrCam device when it first came out. It was it was very large, it was a heavy battery, there was a wire, and there were just other things to it, and then I'll talk about the newer devices today that came out. But when I first saw it, I knew I wanted to be part of this because of the technology and how it's growing and where it's coming and where it's gone. So the OrCam company itself was founded in 2010 by Ziv Aviram and Amnon Shashua. They initially had another company in the 90s called MobileEye. And I don't know if anyone ever heard of MobileEye before, but MobileEye was responsible, that company when they started, was working on computer vision for automobiles and collision detection. So everyone hears that there's little beeps and things that go off on the side of their vehicles. This is where they're utilizing computer vision and then thought to use this for assistive technology and then started a company in 2010. It was actually Dr. Shashua's aunt that had macular degeneration, which had him thinking about using the technology initially for someone who was visually impaired. In 2000, just to say where that technology went with MobileEye, they ended up selling to Intel in 2018 as a publicly traded company, and they're located, the main office headquarters is in Israel, in Jerusalem, for $15 billion. To Intel, which is where they're working with now. So that's just to say where the company, even though we're not fairly a new company now, it's now 12 years later, but to say we're here, we're working on the technology and things are moving forward. The company is now, the devices that they have 25 different languages and they operate out of 50 different countries. And their mission is really to create assistive technology, and what they started is for people who are blind or visually impaired, and they actually are going into hearing in the future. So they're going to have the OrCam here, and they're going to go into other markets as well, such as any, which I'll get into later, any auditory readers, such as dyslexia or anyone who had TBI, as well as a case study that we just did for anyone with visual field defects as well. So they're really pioneering into the way of AI-driven platforms to improve quality of life, and really it's about personal AI, which is what they call it. Now they have two devices that I'm picturing on this slide here, and on the left side there is the OrCam Read device, and on the right side there is the OrCam MyEye. Now the OrCam MyEye was their original device, and I'm holding it here in my hands. It's about the size of a finger, weighs a bit less than an ounce, and attaches magnetically to most any eyeglasses. As long as I can get these little magnetic mounts onto my eyeglasses, that's where the OrCam MyEye fits. So it magnetically just mounts on, so I'm hands-free. The device in front has a 13 megapixel camera, takes a picture, and then speaks to me what it's seeing the information. So it's able to read, and that's reading off of any surface, whether that's a digital screen, a newspaper, magazine, the mail, if I wanted to read right, or a menu in a restaurant. It also, shutting this off, also does facial recognition, barcode recognition, products, color, and money. And I'll demonstrate some of these features that this has. It also, just important to know that all of our devices work offline, meaning does not require Wi-Fi, which is great for schools and also anyone in a company where privacy is needed. And it doesn't connect anything to the cloud. However, it does require Wi-Fi in order to get any updates, and that's important to know. So in order for the OrCam device to read, I'm just going to get a book here. It can read in one of, there's two modes to reading. One is what we call regular reading, and the second mode is smart reading. Smart reading is a new thing for OrCam, the OrCam devices, where I can speak to the device and I can get the information from the text. So if I wanted to read a newspaper, I can get the headlines. I could say read Article 1, read Article 2. But what I want to show everybody is just how we do just regular reading. Regular reading can be done in one of three ways. I can either just automatically hold up the text and it takes a picture. I can, second, utilize on the side here, there's a little touch bar. And if I tap, it'll take a picture and start reading the text instantly. I'll just do the volume controls right now. Can everyone hear that? It's coming out of a speaker, so I have it connected to Bluetooth. So if I wanted more privacy, I could just connect it to a Bluetooth earbud. So if I wanted to read text, though, I can also do it a third way, as I said, which is by a hand gesture. And by a hand gesture, I mean I just point at the text, and it's not pointing like pointing at someone, because that's rude. We point up with our finger, and it has to see our nail. So if I point forward with my nail, I hear a beep, it takes a picture, and then starts reading the text.
The light remains, because
So
feel is a word
text.
full of traps. Then the eyes and heart of the warrior.
If I wanted to stop reading the text, all I do is I put out my hand, and it stops reading the text. I can also swipe forward, backwards to fast forward or rewind. I could double tap to pause as well. So if I get a phone call, I'm reading, I could double tap, it stays on pause, and then I can resume back just by double tapping again. As I mentioned, it also does facial recognition. Right now I have it, because I was so much on Zoom meetings, I'm sure like all of you, and it kept saying my name when it'd see my face, but I have it on right now on manual. It could be in manual, automatic, or fully automatic. Manual is just basically I tap, it sees my face, takes a picture, and it just said, I don't know if you heard it, say Bryan, and it's seeing some text in the background. It'll always try to read some text. Let me bring it up here. Let me see if I could do this so we can all hear it. There we go. Bryan. Oops, sorry about that. It's loud. And it's reading other things. So I can also have it on automatic mode where it will recognize known faces. And to put somebody in the system takes less than 20 seconds. I just have to have them stand about 3 feet, 4 feet in front of me in a well-lit room, and they're in the system, and I just name them. It can recognize up to 100 people, and then I could take out people as needed if I need more room. So it's like defriending someone. It also does fully automatic. Well, it then will tell me unknown people, a man or a woman is in front of me, and how many people are there. So it also does, as I mentioned, barcode reading. So for independent shopping or shopping and I want to see a barcode, it'll tell me what it is. I'm just holding it.
Altoids Smalls, sugar-free wintergreen mints.
So it just told me it's the Altoids mints. And if it doesn't know a barcode, now remember, this is working not on Wi-Fi. So this is not connected to your phone. This is not connected to anything. There are about 1 million barcodes in this system. So there could be one or two things that maybe you go into a specialty store and it doesn't know it. Well, if you want it to know that barcode, you just simply teach it much like facial recognition, as well as you can also do products. So you can teach it individual products that you want as well. And it also, just for the third gesture, we did a pointing gesture, we did a stop gesture. We can also do a tell time gesture. So I'm just looking at my wrist, and it just tells us the time. So those are the three gestures. I always like to say, OrCam does, if anyone out there is teaching AT and teaching this device, and if anyone knows it, I always say OrCam comes in threes. 3 gestures, there's 3 kind of taps. There's a single tap that takes a picture. So if I even wanted to read the screen up here, I just kind of tap here.
OrCam Read, 0 OrCam Read, CES, Innovation Awards 2020.
And it's even reading the bottom stuff there, the Innovation Awards, which I should mention won from CES 3 years in a row, and they also won for the OrCam Read and the OrCam MyEye top 100 inventions in Time magazine. So I could do that, the one tap. If I double tap, it's a learning mode. It's actually, if I double tap, it's pause or it's voice command. So I can actually tell it to speak faster. I could speak to the OrCam device just by tapping, or I can also use a command, such as when I know if you're on a podcast and someone says like, you know, Alexa, or I always say the A-lady. We don't say that word because it puts off everybody's devices, especially being on Zoom. It's a similar thing here with OrCam. I just say, hey, OrCam, speak faster. And I'm hoping it'll pick it up. It might be the ambient noise in the background. We'll try one more time. Hey, OrCam, speak faster.
Volume down.
So I think it said rate up on there, so it would speak faster. We can see if it speaks faster now. We can do it from a newspaper. Let's just see.
By Julia Jacobs and David Scoff before the coronavirus outbreak.
If I want to
Tickets
fast
join the
forward,
studio, but so
I
hard
just
to
forward
get
through the
now,
text,
tickets and still
sentence
scarce
by
power with
sentence,
added bonus.
and again I can
Members
double
of the
tap just to
studio
stop.
audience have
But
been
if I
paid to
just tap
attend.
once, it stops reading. A long press, remember I said there's 3, is learning mode. So if I just wanted to learn a product, I wanted to learn a person, all I do is a long press. So that's why I always say it comes in 3s. Want to get into the newest product, which actually we had here in 2020. If anyone was here right at ATIA for 2020, this device wasn't yet ready on the market. We started showing it to people, but this is the OrCam Read device. Now, different from that device, this is more of a handheld and a reader only. Whereas the MyEye is meant for someone who is blind or visually impaired, and that's one thing I wanted to mention, is that who is that device for? Could it be used by some people have always told me, oh, that's for someone who's blind, somebody who's visually impaired. It could be used by both. It doesn't matter. The device is giving us the information. It's not working with your vision. And like other devices, different than other devices, is that it doesn't matter if you have end-stage glaucoma, AMD, or diabetic retinopathy. It doesn't matter if you have a peripheral field defect or central defect. It's going to work for you either way because it's just speaking you the information. So what I also like to say about the product, about the MyEye, is that it's going to work over time. So if somebody has something that's progressive or progressive vision loss, it's not something that's going to sit there and collect dust or be a paperweight. It's going to be still useful. The Read devices are reading only, so it's for any auditory readers. So somebody who's low vision, traumatic brain injury, dyslexia, so anybody who's an auditory reader. And we just did a case report with somebody with a hemianopsia, with either left or right field neglect. We had 2 individuals, one 40 years old with a brain tumor, had a left hemianopsia. Another one was a woman in her 80s who had a hemorrhagic stroke, also a left side defect, and it worked great with both of them. And I was very happy that it worked great, and why I want to mention it here today, because I spoke to a bunch of my optometry friends who deal with vision therapy and do vision therapy for hemianopsias, and they kept telling me no to auditory reading. And it was great that it really worked for these individuals, so I really wanted to expand on that. This device is real easy. It's point, click, read, basically. It's got 4 buttons just to take a picture, and let me just make sure that the speaker is on.
Is too low.
And then we have volume controls.
Volume maximum.
And volume down. And then a power button. So if I just want to take a picture of text, all I need to do, like I mentioned, is point or click. So if I just have the text here, and I'll mention the light that you're going to see in a moment, and all I did is take a picture of the text.
Knows that no man
and it's
is an
very
island.
fast.
He cannot fight alone. Whatever his plan.
I can
he
pause it,
depends on
I
other
can
people.
rewind
He
like
needs to
before,
discuss his
I can
strat-
go
he
back,
depends on
I can
whatever
go
he
forward,
depends on
or
other
I can
people.
just stop
He
it
needs
just by pressing the button. Now what you saw, and I'm going to kind of do it on this white sheet here, is that there's a little light. And the light is like a box, and basically it's bounding the area, and it's highlighting the area I want to read. So I can highlight a paragraph, I can highlight or a whole page. And that's what's different from other scanning pens. Other scanning pens are guiding line by line, where this one you're getting whole page capture. And that's a big difference here. So if somebody's not steady enough. The other laser light is a little arrow, so it's like a cursor on your computer, so I could start then anywhere on the page. And this is really a great, I find, entry device for, like I see a lot of aging eye disease, a lot of my elderly patients, and I really find this really helpful as a good entry to something, because it's so quick and easy to use, and I feel they like something in their hand. But again, it's just somebody's preference versus a wearable versus a handheld. But we're looking into this more for dyslexia as well as other auditory readers. Let's see. And this is just a picture of the OrCam MyEye. And I mentioned all these things here. And the point, click, read again. Sorry, I'm going through my slides here. Again, some non-limiting characteristics. As I mentioned before, it really could be any age. So it doesn't matter somebody's age. The youngest person I worked with was 7 years old. The oldest was 101. It really just depends on what's for everybody, as we know. It's a tool in the toolkit, and it just has to be for whatever their needs are. Any technological ability, as it works out of the box. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no additional software, there's no connectivity to the cloud. The thing is that there's a bit of a training, and as you can see, probably just from just the reading function, this is a real simple, easy tool to train someone on. I would say the MyEye to do the training is a little bit more, but give someone a good week to 2 weeks and they can master the device. I think you need a good anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to go through the device on the MyEye. I think after like that hour, they lose you. And what's great, what I always recommend, even as an optometrist, that me training individuals, is that you can turn on and off features. So like let's say somebody, okay, I want to concentrate on my goal of reading. Well, let's concentrate on those 3 ways of reading. And then we could shut the facial recognition off and maybe reintroduce it at a later time. So that's what's good about you can go into the system and make it your own. Another thing is I know we've been using English text. It does have something where I could read other languages. So it does come with Spanish. So I could do auto detection in Spanish. So where if it sees Spanish, it's going to do it in the dialect. It doesn't do translation though. And as I mentioned earlier, it's for all types of vision loss, whether someone's blind or visually impaired, because it's not working with someone's vision. Now, when the Read device was created, it was really thought more for low vision and not for someone who's blind, but who am I to tell someone not to do something? So I'd never like saying someone can't do something. So it's another training aspect of kind of taking the device, putting it in the middle of the page, and then knowing how big the page is and backing off and getting used to that orientation. And people do well. I just actually did that with somebody in the booth. And if someone does want to see the devices and try that out for themselves, they're over in booth 407. Myself and Josh are over there. And let's see, what time do we have? I think I'm just like kind of right on time, or if there's any questions I could take also, sure. So that's a great question about insurance, because think cost. Everyone talks about cost. So it is not covered under any medical insurance that I know of or any Medicare, but it is covered for veterans through the VA, and then some state vocational rehabilitation will cover it as well, and then depending on, we are with some school districts. So it depends on your area. Yes? Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So you can, yes, through Medicaid. Not Medicare, Medicaid, yes. So what state? Minnesota, right. And we've been successful also in Massachusetts with Medicaid. Right, and right here in Florida, if anyone's here from Florida, we've got it through DBS as well, the Division of Blind Services. So if it's shown that they can use it at work. And what we find is for work and school purposes that the no Wi-Fi is a big deal, and for that privacy as well. No handwriting, just printed text. Or someone could write, they'd have to write really, really neat in order for that to do that. And hopefully I'm not missing anything. Yes? So right, so it's not going to work with script or logos. So like I call it like fancy wedding font on a wedding invitation. It's not going to get that, or Coca-Cola, like how it's written in script. So no, it's not. But it can get some funky fonts, but not all. So if it's too fancy, too scripted, then it's not going to get it, no, and logos. And it ignores pictures. Yes? I know, is that the question? Yeah. Right, so you can, yes. So you can recognize the product as a product, the Coca-Cola can. So if you want a differentiation from Diet Coke to Coca-Cola, you can get the 2 different ones as a product that you can remember it. One of the newest things that's coming, it's in beta right now on that other device, is orientation, and it's going to orient you to chairs, tables, doors, hallways, so things like that. So objects in space, and direct you to it, or a cup on a table. And that's coming soon. It's in the system. It's just it's in beta mode right now, so it's not basically sold on that feature. So thank you very much, everybody. I think they are doing their raffle, and I think that's why everybody's coming here. Again, OrCam Technologies. You can come see the devices, the OrCam Read and the OrCam MyEye at booth 407. Thank you. Thank you, guys.